Hey everyone, it's Tyler Weingunner and Tom McShay, and welcome to the B-List, another episode of the B-List. This is the show where we take a look at kind of underloved, flawed, weird, kind of off the beaten track games. And I want to apologize for last week when I played, I don't want to apologize for playing Bionic Commando, because that game is actually great. I want to apologize for kind of giving that game a bit of a short shrift, because like I was saying in the stream, I was having a really good time with the movement. I was having a pretty lousy time with the combat.
You gotta combine the two.
I was like, well, I want to stick with this just to keep doing keep playing around with the swinging mechanic. I was playing it this weekend, and I realized, well, if I don't like the combat, but I like the movement, move more in combat.
There you go.
And that game clicked for a huge way with me, and I am actually really enjoying that. I highly recommend that game now.
Okay.
So we're sticking with the theme of the Grin developer studio, the late developer studio Grin. So today we're going to play Wanted: Weapons of Fate, which is a game that when I was mentioning that I could play it, you described yourself as
the world's biggest fan of this.
And
I don't know anyone else who really likes the game.
And
so I like it.
Is that just the reason why you're the biggest fan of this game?
Yeah, well, I just don't think there's a ton of fans. So anyone who likes it would be, yeah. I know when this came out 4 years ago, almost exactly. I played through it twice in one weekend because I really enjoyed it.
All right, so what's the deal with this game?
What's the deal? So Wanted is a graphic novel.
Yeah.
That was turned into a movie that starred someone I don't know and Angelina Jolie.
James McAvoy.
Really? You know who's in that movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was a comic book, and then a movie, and then this is the third version of the IP, basically, that they're doing. And it's a cover-based third-person shooter that has an emphasis on movement, which you can't really tell because Tyler doesn't like to move. But it's because you slide like over cover and into and out of cover, and then it also has.
This is going to be a poor showcase.
It's a really poor showcase.
Right now, I thought the game was going to crash for a second.
That would have been bad.
Yeah.
So there's also. So there's the sliding stuff that I like, but there's also like the mind-bending bullets thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the hook or the gimmick, because you can bend your bullets so they go at an angle instead of a straight.
Which I'll be able to show you in a moment once I get past this this rail shooting sequence.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Also, I'll be able to show more of the movement stuff.
Yes. So you'll just have to trust me for now that this game should be on a show called the A-List.
Well, that's the hidden message of the B-List, is that all B-List games should be...
You're not supposed to say what the hidden message is.
Should be A-listed. Oh, God. And this is...
So, as someone who has consumed all three versions of this story...
So you have read the graphic novel.
I have read 2 graphic novels. Well, I guess 3. I've read 3 graphic novels in my life. I don't consider Hugo graphic novels. I've read 3. And it was like, I read, what is it called? The Watchmen? I don't know if you've heard of The Watchmen.
I've heard of The Watchmen.
And then Ricardo Torres, the old CEO, or EIC here, was like, hey, you're reading a graphic novel, read Wanted. And then my wife wanted me to read Blanket. So those are the 3 that I've read.
Okay.
Wanted is very different from the movie. The movie is kind of you're not a bad guy, and in the comic book you are. I don't remember how the video game is. Are you a bad guy or a good guy in this?
Well...
I don't remember the story. Not based on your moral code, just in general. Are you an antagonist or a protagonist?
Well, I mean, you're all part of, everybody, because the story ties into this notion that there's this fraternity of assassins, and that... The loom of fate. This is what I've inferred from the game and from the movie, is that this loom of fate just says, here's a name of a person who needs to die. Yes. And these assassins never question it, and they operate under the idea that this, like a name that could come up with it might be Adolf Hitler. You don't know that Adolf Hitler needs to die, and you don't care why, because, well, I mean, history will tell you that he brought about he instigated the Holocaust and as part of World War II, or the events leading up to World War II.
Yeah.
But if you kill him before that, he's just a dude.
This
And
is true. So it's a
so-
little Minority Report.
Yeah, so the question there is,
Duck! Duck when you're black and white! Duck!
there's no duck, though.
Well, let's stop that thing, whatever you're doing there. Isn't that ducking?
Well, there's shooting, but, I mean, if I shoot, then I can stop people from shooting at me.
Yeah, but if you don't shoot,
And
then you duck behind the metal. So I don't remember which I liked more. I don't really read graphic novels, so I would strike against it. But I don't remember if I liked the movie. I know I liked the movie the least, and I don't
Yeah.
remember between the game and a comic book.
And the crux of the movie, I believe, was that Wesley, for one's question, like, was like one of the first assassins to be like, well, what if we don't kill these people? What if these people are actually pretty decent?
Ooh, there's a twist.
So, you know, is that, you know, obviously we're in a pretty moral gray area, so I don't know if that makes him a good guy or a bad guy.
Yeah.
It makes me curious.
I think the comic book story was something like like you get superpowers, you know, because you're really good at shooting, basically.
Yeah.
And you become a bad guy, like, you know, someone that Batman would fight.
Yeah.
And you're basically a murderer and a pillager.
So right now we're not actually playing as James McAvoy, but we're playing as Grandpa McAvoy, or his father.
Okay.
Not really. Oh,
Yeah, this game is not about sniper or turret sequences. I don't know why they have that in this game. The other stuff is just you'll have to trust us that it is way more fun.
We'll get through this as quick as we can.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, man.
I'm guessing you have not read the graphic novel?
I have not.
Okay.
No, I've only consumed 2/3 of the.
Because you've seen the movie.
I have seen the movie.
I remember the movie was visually striking, but, like, kind of dumb.
That sounds like a good genre that Netflix would make for you. Visually striking movies that
But
involve
dumb.
guns.
Yeah. I think that was also the movie that started the whole Angelina Jolie is Skeletor phase of her career.
Or she was just really skinny.
Yeah, where she's been Skeletor for like a decade now. It's kind of unbecoming to try to look like He-Man's arch enemy.
Yeah, I think that was the last movie I saw Angelina Jolie in.
Yeah, maybe. She doesn't really do movies anymore.
Does she still adopt children?
She just adopts children.
So in this part, this is one of game's less loved mission types. I'm in an escort mission where I have to protect the wife of my child because it's a package deal.
I probably hate turret sequences, which this is more than even escort missions.
Yeah.
So this is like a double whammy for me.
This is not the game at its best.
No.
Where is this man shooting me from?
I'm also particularly bad at sniper rifling. I remember playing Medal of Honor Warfighter, and I actually had to have someone pass the sniping part for me. Just because I'm not quick enough on sniping.
Yeah. Well, good sniper sections can be great, but bad ones are just dreadful.
Well, the one in Warfighter was like fine as far as what it was doing. I'm just really bad at it. I remember. It's not my, you know, other people in multiplayer might run for sniper rifle. I don't do it. I don't do it. Shrillbach thinks that escort missions are the worst. I can't really argue with that. Yeah, there's no argument to that. They're pretty bad.
Terrible. I mean, yeah, if game AI could get better, then
maybe
they might be onto something. But right now, it's just like, no, don't shoot your wife.
Look at how he threw the bullet. He curved the bullet.
Curved the bullet around. Oh, it's like, what's that,
her-
baby? Did you get the milk? No, I got the baby. I'm sorry, dude. Your son is creepy looking.
That's some bad text font, isn't it?
It's like Arial Black, but stretched out a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you're using a weird controller.
We're having a hard time finding PlayStation 3 controllers these days. So I'm playing the MLG Pro Circuit controller.
Third party.
Yeah.
That baby as oh god, Riki guitarist says baby looks like Benjamin Button. That's not a compliment.
And that he's already an old man.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of frumpy James McAvoy.
See, here's Shrillbach. I was going to bring this up, and I'm glad he did. He says, quote, if all escort AI thought and acted like Elizabeth from Bioshock Infinite, the future is all right. I consider that a very bad example of quote-unquote good escort, because instead of having an escort mission, they go, we're not good enough to actually develop a game based on escorting, because that's difficult. Instead, we're just going to make an invincible AI who gives you all the ammo and health you want.
Yeah.
Like so I found that like a real cop-out.
And in fact, I think at one point I was taking cover behind Elizabeth.
I know.
Because she's indestructible. And then she ran away. Which,
it feels just kind of just like, we can't solve this problem, so we're going to avoid the problem.
Yeah.
Kind of like Mass Effect 1, it was like, oh, I don't like exploring these planets. They're too desolate. And then in 2 and 3, they just took it out because it's hard to make planets that are interesting.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, just forget about the planets. It's like, no, I just want to get interesting planets. So, yeah, as Riki Guitarra said, Elizabeth was escorting you. I mean, it's basically like, yeah, she kept being like, oh, why is he dying?
It's an interesting idea of the reverse escort mission.
Yeah. Oh God, saw Angelina Jolie in Cyborg 2. This is Jam Dev. The other day, she was supernaturally hot when she was younger. But he saw Cyborg 2, which is weird because that movie was probably terrible. But it's like 20 years old.
I remember Cyborg 1, and it was terrible. I can only curve bullets when I'm in cover.
Yeah.
Fine.
Jolie used to be like, she was a good actress, but she got to a weird point, I guess, emotionally.
Well, she also kind of kept doing the same kind of role over and over again.
Yes, you gotta curve some. Look at that! Look how cool this game is.
Oh, man with shield.
Oh, you have to curve that because how else are you gonna shoot a man with a shield?
I can flank him.
I don't understand. This is not the kind of game where you flank. This is a game where you curve.
You do both. Right now, it is the game where I scavenge bullets.
Shrelbag calls Ashley from Resident Evil 4 a literal bag of uselessness, which is true. I just think there's like a happy medium between like, oh my God, I can't think of her name. Who is the Natalia from GoldenEye? Natalia from GoldenEye versus Elizabeth from BioShock. Like, you have to still make a character that's vulnerable, or else it doesn't really work to me, I guess.
No.
I don't know. I kind of like the way that Tripp was handled in Enslaved, even though I don't know if she could die. I think she could, though that wasn't like a huge concern. But she actually helped you in fighting, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like she was a infinite ammo dump. I don't know. I guess I have more negative things to say about Infinite than a lot of people, though.
Probably. I don't know if you'd have more than me. I don't have a lot of nice things to say about that game.
All right, it looks nice. I like the music.
It's pretty. Yeah, gameplay falls apart real quickly.
Yes.
And
oh man, it's funny. This is the weirdest thing ever. People talking about Ashley being dumb. Stingray X2000 jumps in, makes me want to replay Resident Evil 4 because she was like historically dumb and annoying. I really enjoyed her. Oh God. Okay, so Zombie 13 brings up Dead Rising because that was a game built on escort missions. But you could just leave them to die if you wanted, since you didn't have to rescue like anyone.
I think a big part of the reason why I like Dead Rising 2, or why I was able to play and enjoy Dead Rising a lot more than Dead Rising 2, or other way around, is that, well, the AI knew what to do with a weapon. In 2?
Yes.
And also, my other favorite trick was that whenever you had an incapacitated survivor, you could just have them piggyback onto your back.
God, how cool is that?
And then, I mean, you weren't indestructible. Hey, dude.
Not even close.
God! But as long as you kept moving, the zombies couldn't touch you. So I was like, okay, I basically get a free ride back to the home base as long as I don't stop.
I liked putting them in, like, could you put them in wheelchairs? Or that is do that in co-op. I don't know.
I never tried that.
Dead Rising 2's escort stuff is much better, but yeah, it is just a nice dynamic that, like, I can leave them to die if I want.
Yeah. I almost want to say that in Eco, I mean, because Eco, you could dismissively say that game is just one big escort mission.
Yep.
But there, at least, when you get in a combat scenario.
Oh hell yeah!
Ooh.
This game is doing this before Call of Duty.
Yeah. Was this before Call of Duty?
No, this came out 2 years after.
I gotta shoot the bullet. I shot your bullet out of the air.
Man, this game is so cool. Look at how cool this is.
I can't see a thing. Oh, you're already dead.
Yeah, and now you're dead. Oh, look at his gross body. Look at the way it contorted.
Because that was when, when you get in a combat area, you fight, you have to fight the shadow monster things. And then they'll eventually attack Yorda. And then it just becomes, like, that becomes your priority rather than fighting the guys that are attacking you or going on the offensive. You just go on the defensive. But it wasn't too bad.
How great this game is. A-list, see? See about the A-list? Oh, yeah, somebody, Stingray brings up carrying the granny in Dead Rising 2. Which is one of the first things you have to do, and it's so like, come on. So Bob Jones, 1980, says that B-list is not in the Twitch page. I don't know what that really means, but I'll say it out loud, just so Dan can hear.
Maybe the B-list should be in the Twitch page. Should it? Only time will tell.
You couldn't put the AI in Dead Rising in the wheelchairs. But you could put your co-op friend in them and then push them around, which is fun.
I really confused the hell out of that one guy because I curved the bullet around him to shoot his comrade, and then I shot him. They're like, haha, I saved your life. No, I didn't.
Yeah, as Jam Dev says, because you care about I can't remember Yorda and Aiko.
Yeah.
Like it's different. She's not just like a bullet sponge who you're cursing like in Natalia and GoldenEye. Like you want to protect her. You were gonna do it anyway. So that is why it works in Aiko.
Well, it is kind of what you need to do.
Yeah.
Oh,
man, so this one dude, Riki Guitar, stopped playing Dead Rising 2. I don't know if I've ever stopped. That game is so good. But yeah, it's not for everyone. The structure is a little difficult to wrap your head around.
I think I stopped when I got to an ending.
There's so many endings.
And I got a pretty good ending. Well, I think I saved... What's the daughter's name?
I don't remember. Chuck Green.
The daughter's
the same name.
Chuck. This is not pushing daisies. I think I saved the daughter, but Chuck died. I consider that,
Man. I mean, it's fine. I just... You know how I feel about Dead Rising.
Yes.
It's like my favorite thing ever. One of my favorite types of games.
Yeah. But it's no Wanted Weapons of Fate.
No, it's much better than Wanted. This is just like my guilty pleasure type game.
Is that supposed to be Angelina Jolie? Not that guy, obviously.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's supposed to be. I don't think this is licensed on the movie. I think this is just licensed in general.
It is supposed to pick up right after the movie leaves off, so it's somewhat related.
Maybe it is. I think there's a boss fight you're about to be in.
And there's credits for both Top Cow and Warner Brothers in this, so referencing both graphic novel and film.
As Z Zombie 13 says, you just have to level up in Dead Rising. Because it's kind of structured that if you hit a wall, you can just start over.
Or you just keep making nail bats.
Yeah, but you can also you can start over with your character already powered up and but people don't necessarily want to do that, but I loved that aspect. I love Dead Rising.
Hey, Sputnik, why don't you just give me your arm and we'll forget all about...
Oh, I got shot in the brain parts.
Lead character definitely looks like James McAvoy, so maybe it is based right on the movie.
Yeah.
That's what Jam Dev says. I forgot much about that movie.
Hey, Sputnik, why don't you just give me your arm and we'll forget all about this shooting at each other thing.
It might have been James McAvoy's breakout role.
Has he broken out?
He's done a couple of... well, he's friggin' Charles Xavier now.
Is he?
Yeah. He's young Charles Xavier.
I did enjoy the Xavier-Magneto relationship in First Class.
Yeah.
The rest of that movie was kind of meh, but that was excellent. They're making a sequel to that. Bryan Singer is, I think, right?
Bryan Singer?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's the guy who's written all of that X-Men movie.
No, he only did the first two. He only did X-Men and X2.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he didn't do X3, which was terrible, and he didn't do...
Oh, he didn't do X-Men first. He didn't do First Class.
Yeah, and he didn't do Wolverine Origins.
The director whose name I can never, ever remember, but I love his work, is it Matthew Vaughn? Something Vaughn. Who also directed... what else did he direct? Well, Layer Cake is, I think, his finest work, but also...
Let's see what IMDb says.
IMDb will tell you all about it.
IMDb is awesome. Okay.
But what did he also directed? Kick-Ass.
Oh, I like Kick-Ass.
Yeah, he's.
That is Matthew Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn. Yeah, he doesn't have a really what you could pen down to like a really distinct style. With his movies, he just makes really good movies.
So he's only the. Well, maybe let me scroll down on IMDb to the director page, maybe, and that'll tell me if he's directing.
He also went through the interesting career path of he was a producer before he started directing. So he produced movies like Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, stuff that he did with like Guy Ritchie.
So he's not directing. I know everybody's fascinated that they tuned into Weapons and we're talking about Kick-Ass, but he's not directing Kick-Ass 2.
No, he's not, which makes me worry for that movie.
It's directed by Jeff Wadlow. I loved the first Kick-Ass.
Oh, it's wonderful.
So good. Who's Jeff Wadlow?
A friggin' no name.
Yeah, I don't. He's a writer mostly. Writers can't do anything good. Power of Babel, Manual Labor, Catching Kingle, Never Back Down, Cry Wolf. I've never heard of this dude. Well, I still want to say Kick-Ass 2. Kick-Ass 1 was so good. Yeah. Nicky Cage's maybe his last great role. Most recent great role.
All right, the Russian. I've got some bullets to put in you.
Can we not swear in these chats? Because someone asterisked out the A word in Kick-Ass 2. Is that a thing that's just automatically blocked? I expect you to know everything about Twitch for some reason.
They might not be able to swear. Try replacing the S's with dollar signs.
Ooh. Oh yeah, Jim Carrey's in Kick-Ass 2.
That's right.
That's gonna be great. He's so good. No, what is the dude I'm so bad with names, I'm sorry, but he says he's not gonna see Kick-Ass because he's a no-name director, but every director was no-name at some point.
That's true.
Right? This guy's done 5 movies so far. 3 of them are shorts and 2 of them are not. So maybe this is just his big break.
It could be. Here's hoping. But I don't know.
Is that this year? I want to see it.
The trailers make it look a lot more jokey than the first movie. But I mean, that could just be the way the trailer is making it look, and also tying in that because Jim Carrey is, well, he mostly does jokey roles except for like
Eternal Sunshine,
like Truman. Well, Truman Show.
The Majestic.
He was a little jokey in that, but that was mostly a serious role.
Dumb and Dumber was a documentary.
It was a silly documentary.
Every fraternity has guardian. Out of necessity.
Can I suggest a B-list game?
Of course you can.
What was the first ever...
I mean, I kind of created this show out of your featured article about In Defense of the 6.0.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm trying to think of it was the first ever next-gen game. Glaive Dragons.
Oh, Dark Sector.
Dark Sector. Have you played that?
No.
Dark Sector's awesome.
Is it?
It is. It actually is, like, genuinely awesome. It has, like, a weird left-handed protagonist, because he throws with his right hand, so he shoots with his left hand, which is always weird to me. But it's actually a really cool game that, like, once it clicks, it's like, really fun, because that glaive. So that might be one that you might dig.
I could give it a shot. Man,
I haven't thought about that. Yeah. I'm kind of excited about that now. That game was really cool.
Another one a set of games I definitely need to revisit are like the shooters developed by the Russian publisher 1C, like Necrovision and Cryostasis.
That one's a tough one for this kind of format.
Yeah.
It's more thoughtful, I guess.
Well, I mean, it just gives us plenty of time to talk between between segments.
That's true.
While we're warming our hands up by the side of the fire. I'm learning new abilities. Oh, this is the creep.
Oh, God. How about Nier?
I know nothing about Nier.
I know actually the twist. I know what happens in like the second. It's not even a twist. I know what the second playthrough is like.
I guessed the twist for Bionic Commando last week during the show.
Did you?
Yeah.
Stranglehold. So see, here's the problem. Who
the John
says
Woo
this?
game.
Jur Maximus. The problem with Stranglehold is the previous game by that development team was Psyops. And Psyops is like legitimately awesome.
Yeah.
And Stranglehold was
I wish
just,
I could find a way to justify. I don't know. I mean, because I'll also play legitimately and through good games that just never got, were kind of overlooked. I don't know if Psyops was overlooked.
Nobody
it really shouldn't have been.
It was so much better than Second Sight, which was similar, but not nearly as...
And those games came out really close to one another, too.
Yep, that's why in there, yeah. And I love Free Radical. If Free Radical couldn't make his game as good as... was it Acclaim? Who the heck made Midway?
Did all those games come out of Free Radical?
Which one? What do you mean all those?
Well, I mean, is that who developed Psyops?
No, Psyops was... No, that was the Second Sight.
Okay.
Yeah, Psyops was like Midway.
Right, yeah, it was like... Was it Internal Midway?
Do you remember the subtitle?
No.
I think it was the Mindgate Conspiracy.
Oh, right.
As someone who doesn't even remember the name of the game I'm reviewing half the time, I don't know why that stuck with me. So that I don't know, that might be fun. Oh, so you get to mind control guards and let them shoot other people, and then they commit suicide themselves, and you can pick up the ground and surf on it with your mind.
My favorite thing about that is at least allegedly. Hey, dude, I'm gonna shoot you around this box. I dropped a bullet on top of your head.
Oh, look at how you slide! I love the sliding part. Do the part where you slide again. Slide. Ah, you didn't slide. Man.
I was saying a thing.
You were saying something.
Oh yeah, my favorite thing about that, and I don't know if this is true or maybe this is just a story they like to tell people in preview events, but apparently they didn't know, like they never planned on the game working in a way where you would be able to use your telekinesis to pick up the ground you were standing on and like...
They never thought about that?
Like, they didn't realize that was technically possible until, like, one of their testers tried it, and they said, I imagine it was probably kind of janky, but it's, stuff that happens on accident is, but then they made it a game mechanic, because they're smart game developers.
Man, I love games. I love crazy games.
Yeah. Well, just games that let you, like, play in a way that, like, rewards a particular style that games that let you develop your own style of playing without necessarily, saying like, oh, it's an RPG game, so here's the skill. You get to choose the skills you get, but rather you get all the skills, but figure out which ones appeal to you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Look at that guy. He's gonna get shot. Oh, look at him stumble around because he got shot in the arm.
Oh, but I don't have enough. I can't do my slow motion cover shift.
How do you do your slow motion cover shift?
I need more adrenaline.
Ah, jeez.
Which I'll get from killing him. And then I'll be like, wha-bam! Look at all these bullets I'm putting into him.
So, I mean, if you're doing, like, older shooters, I mean, Psyops and Geist would both probably be good ones.
Ooh, I never even played Geist.
So the problem with Geist is the same problem with Psyops, is that the last, like, whatever, fifth of the game is a shooter in the traditional sense. And neither of those games are supposed to be traditional shooters.
Yeah.
So they don't work too well when you have to actually shoot a bunch of people. But those games were both... You could possess a dog food bowl in Geist. It was so cool.
What can you do as a dog food bowl?
Scare a dog. He, like, freaks out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
It was a pretty cool game.
It'd be like vibrating like a... Hey, dog.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. He's like, whoop. That's what dogs do, is they make that noise.
Yeah.
I think you might be... I wonder how close you are to the end. It feels like you're...
I don't know. I've only been playing this game for like 2 hours.
It's either a 3 or 4 hour game, depending on how good you are. It's like it's just ridiculously short.
Where are my bullet sponges?
Poor Grin. I liked Grin. They died a very quick death though.
Yeah.
Because they had this, and then they had, I mean, Bionic Commando Bionic Commando Rearmed.
Yep.
And whatever the new downloadable Bionic Commando was they probably made.
They didn't develop that.
Oh, they didn't?
That was, well, it depends on how you look at it. That was developed by Fat Shark, which is, that wasn't, I mean, that Grin was still around then, but that was a bunch of, I think some of the people kind of saw the writing on the wall there.
No.
And got out. And I mean, those, you know, the Swedish development scene has a lot of, you know, people like that. You know, they're all fairly close with one another. So I think a lot of ex-Grin people worked on the game, but just under the Fat Shark studio name. And you know, those people are all, you know, likely still making games, whether with Fat Shark or with Overkill, who make the Payday, the heist games. I think some of them also went on to what's another Swedish? Oh, Starbreeze. And there's a couple other things that or a couple other small to mid-size development studios in that region that are employing a lot of good talent. Avalanche.
I know Avalanche.
Yeah, they make good games.
I played some Just Cause 2.
Did you play Renegade Ops?
No. What is Renegade Ops?
Renegade Ops is
that the downloadable top-down?
It's the twin-stick vehicle shooter in the vein of like Jackal, you know, the classic NES game Jackal, or like Desert Strike. But it all uses like the vehicular physics from.
I did play that. I think Kara reviewed it and I helped her, or maybe Heidi reviewed it and I helped her. I helped someone.
That game is pretty stupid, and by that I mean a lot of fun.
What does circle do?
I think that means...
Oh, you knife him in the... That's a knife.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
I could kill my hostage if I want to stop keeping a hostage.
Yeah, as Shrillbach points out, Just Cause 2, the game that proves gamers don't want story, because that was like what the CEO of Avalanche said.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's just, we didn't like your story.
Well, I mean, story is certainly not necessary. And if I can have one, like, I famously, well, I don't know how famous I am for it, but back when, the year everybody was talking about, I liked To the Moon a hell of a lot less than everybody else did in this office. And that's not because I didn't like the story, but I just didn't like the experience of a game. I mean, this is the way I felt about BioShock too. In a lot of ways, the combat.
Infinite or BioShock?
BioShock Infinite.
Okay.
I felt like there's a story I want more of.
Hang on. Do we have a power source for this laptop? Because this is gonna die in like, I don't know, 15 minutes. I'm just gonna throw that out there and see what happens.
Ooh, I just need that.
So you like games that are quote unquote real games?
Poor game. A good story is not enough for me to keep playing a game I don't enjoy. Okay, that's not really true, because I did keep playing To the Moon.
You're the one who loves GTA 4.
That game has good gameplay.
It had competent gameplay. At best.
Yeah.
Like, that's not why you play that game. It's because of the atmosphere and the story and stuff. That's
the atmosphere is part of the gameplay.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
The gameplay is like a lock-on third-person shooter with like bad driving physics and
but
and like all the missions are the same like thing over and over. The gameplay is not great in GTA 4.
Well, I mean, you know, I guess we need a little bit of clarification. Anything that I can interact with, I consider gameplay.
Well, you don't interact with the atmosphere.
You interact with the world.
Yes.
And if the world is part of...
Though the way you interact is with bad driving physics and lock-on shooting. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a problem with games like GTA 4 and Enslaved and like whatever that have like, you know, competent gameplay, but you're not playing it for the gameplay, you're playing it for the other aspects, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've been talking about this, because Tomb Raider is just beyond phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah.
But the story is complete garbage, and I was like, what if it had a story as good as Enslaved? Like, how awesome would that be?
Well, it's not complete garbage, it's complete competent.
Well, the story is garbage, but Lara Croft is excellently
Yeah.
developed. So you're right; it falls somewhere in between. But it's like I think there's a space for games because one of my favorite games last year was Virtue's Last Reward.
Yeah.
Where it's like the puzzles are good, but it's not like a great gameplay example. But the story is great. So I don't know. I guess a great story can hide other things for me. I mean, people mention Red Dead. Red Dead Redemption had much better gameplay than GTA 4. It was a super fun game to play.
Even though it had horses and a big open world and lock-on shooting. The horse physics were pretty good.
Although I don't like the setting, but I thought that game was just much better. It had like a cool mechanic with the shooting, didn't it? Something different?
Well, it had the Deadeye thing, which is their, like, bullet time.
Yeah.
It starts out good. It kind of gets broken.
Does it?
Halfway through. Well, you have 3 different levels of it. Like the first level of it is, so when you kill dudes, you fill up your Deadeye meter, which is basically your bullet time thing.
Yeah.
And when you first start out, I think it's full, you can like take a single shot at a guy, and normally the rationale there, you shoot him in the head, or you could also do disarms. You can shoot guns out of people's hands.
Yep.
Or shoot hats off of people's heads.
Of course. They can't even live without them hats.
And then the mid-range attack or the mid-range level of it was, you enter Deadeye, and then anytime you just wave your cursor over people,
look at how badass this sequence is, by the way. Hell yeah, Wanted.
I am climbing up the seats of a falling airliner. As soon as you just wipe your cursor over and foes, it just automatically locks onto targets, which makes it really easy to kill people you didn't intend to kill.
Yeah.
Like your own horse. And then the third level is that you get to stay in Deadeye for a certain amount of time and pick your shots basically until the magazine or of your weapon is empty.
It seems a little. Yeah, I only lasted like 3 or 4 hours in one. I don't like westerns, so I didn't really dig Red Dead, but I thought that what I played was really well done, at least. I don't know. I'll play through GTA 5 regardless of how good the gameplay is, because I like their storytelling.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that game.
I don't expect them to have award-winning gameplay. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Just Cause 2, which was pure gameplay and pure awesome.
Yes. Although I remember going back to the Bionic Commando thing, I remember thinking, certainly, if there's any question about whether or not you should be playing Just Cause 2, yes, you absolutely should. And yes, it's better than Bionic. Yes, it probably, because it is an open world and you can steal jets and you can tie jets to motorcycles. It is technically a better game than Bionic Commando, but and those sequences where the gameplay and combat work out really well together in Bionic Commando are wonderful.
Yeah, I remember having some fun with that game.
It's a new sniper mission.
You love sniper missions.
This game loves sniper missions.
Don't shoot Angelina Jolie.
What about Dennis Rodman?
Shit. Kowarski was on.
Demolition Man?
Yeah. I always get freaked out whenever people's hair is lighter than their skin.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a thing I find incredibly weird.
I have no comment for that.
I gotta get a closer look at.
Yeah, I don't know where they said it because they said it a little while, but someone was pointing out how dumb it was in Uncharted 3, where the house is on. Did you play Uncharted 3?
Yes.
So the house is on fire, but all the dudes are standing inside and shooting at Nathan Drake. It's like, what would your orders have to be? Because they can't be money.
Yeah.
Unless they threaten your wife and kid with murder, like why would you stay behind in a murder? That game had some issues. The best quote unquote Uncharted game is Tomb Raider. The second best Uncharted game is Tomb Raider.
Even better than
Uncharted 2 is the best.
Okay, I was gonna say.
But it's not even an Uncharted game because Tomb Raider has freedom and flexibility and stuff that Uncharted has never had.
Yeah, like I remember when
Skrillex is saying that to keep their employment. I would rather be fired than dead. I don't want to be dead in the burning house.
Yeah.
It's the worst place to be in a burning house.
What about to die in a burning house? That'd be pretty bad. 'Cause you still have the dying part ahead of you. Oh man, that guy's really tough. I'm a little bit tougher though, so it all works out.
Uh-oh. Ricky Guitar says that your hair is lighter than your skin.
Is it really?
I think it might be. Look at that, it actually is. Look at the camera.
Oh no.
It totally is.
I'm my own worst fear. I'm gonna curse some bullets at people until I feel better about everything.
Avengers is pointing out the Uncharted 2 had the train sequence, which was phenomenal. It's like how you do linear corridor shooter that's super diverse still.
I don't know. I never liked the train sequence.
Oh, what about the tank sequence?
The tank sequence is great.
I would say the tank sequence is the best level that I've played in the last like 5 or 6 years. Like it was so meticulously constructed. It's so perfect. A great mix of choreography and like pure skill and player agency with that. Oh my god.
I also really enjoyed. What is the name of the Nepalese mountain man who helps you out in that?
Look how cool this game is. You just shot the dude in the top of the head.
Oh no, I'm gonna shoot this desk.
Shoot it! Shoot the desk! Oh, look at that! Look at how cool he did a little lean back move.
Yeah, that I love the idea of like this companion character who. Well, he's the one who nurses you back to health in the like coda sequence of the game, because it starts out you're like climbing up this train and you're wounded, and then you get up to the top of the train and you like collapse, and it's like 2 weeks earlier, and you come back to that point, with the train sequence, as you mentioned. And so this guy helps you get back to health, and then he takes you through the mountains. And my favorite thing about, well, he's better at everything than you.
Yes.
And he doesn't speak a word of English.
Yep.
But you can also tell the whole time he's like making fun of you, like,
oh yeah,
why do I gotta get stuck with this slow ass guy?
I was kind of hoping that becoming
it's making me look bad.
have to see them again.
So Gear Maximus says he's talking about Last of Us looks like I Am Alive. I'm one of the biggest fans of I Am Alive.
Actually, that is a game I should play on this show.
That's not a B list. That game is super awesome.
But lots of people don't like that game, and I'm
a lot
really
of people don't get it.
I've been idly fascinated by it for a long time.
I hope that The Last of Us is as good as I Am Alive, because that game, I haven't played a video game like I Am Alive before. It's very interesting psychologically how you react to survivors in a wasteland. I loved it.
Which, I mean, I love the Fallout 3 games because of the the Fallout games, because the ridiculousness of their story allows you to step outside of your own emotional and moral quandaries. Mm-hmm. To kind of play, whatever character you want.
That guy doesn't have much AI.
Yes. You could do with a bit more AI.
My computer, the laptop died, so I can't actually do comments. This is very disappointing.
I think we have a guy for this.
Isn't this plugged in? This looks like it's plugged in.
Maybe it's not plugged in on the other end.
I'm gonna...
Technical difficulties.
Is this plugged in? Oh, somebody unplugged it.
Oh, that person is not helpful.
Well, I aim to please.
Your bloody aim is shit.
We might get you back on the chat.
Came for the loot.
This guy has white tattoos.
But now,
Yeah, he does.
And it's
looks like how many people he killed.
just for
Either that or it's a binary code.
How about you?
Continue with system resume.
I don't even know what system resume is. but
Resume Windows.
I bet it resumes the system.
old man now, huh?
This guy's name is Brummel.
Well, it's okay. You shot him in the shoulder, so he probably is. Look at how cool the sliding is. Slide again.
Gotta get closer. He's not.
Oh man, look at this game. It's great. Oh, it just opened it up right on this thing. Cool. Thank you, Dan. I am looking forward to The Last of Us, but I'm curious if it's going to be as good as Tomb Raider now. Like it's something I never would have thought of before I played Tomb Raider, but I think Tomb Raider is excellent.
Yeah.
It's like my shock of the year. My second shock of the year is that Infinite is not awesome. Since BioShock is one of my favorite games of the generation.
It's amazing. I don't know. I don't have any idea like which of those games had the higher budget. I mean, obviously Tomb Raider had
between Infinite and BioShock.
Between Tomb Raider and
or
BioShock.
Infinite and Tomb Raider. Infinite was in development for
it was in development
6
for
years.
For a really long time.
5.5 years.
But I don't know. There's you can kind of tell that they spent a lot of money on Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
And that game being as incredibly polished as it is, it really shows.
Yeah.
That I feel like that money was well spent. Of course, then that gets into the topic of
How much is too much? I wish they wouldn't have included multiplayer because that was just unnecessary cost.
Did it even have multiplayer?
Tomb Raider?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man.
I'm not gonna play it. Carol reviewed it and she was like, "Whatevs."
I thought we were smarter than having unnecessary tacked on multiplayer.
Yes, so Shrillbach is talking about how he hated the original Tomb Raider games. He hasn't played the new one. I never got into them, though I did like the Lara Croft Guardian of Light.
That game is amazing, but you can't really.
It's not the same thing.
It's tough to judge on the same. Tough to consider on that. I'm with you there. I've never really liked any of the Tomb Raider games either.
I guess I played a little of Legend and I liked it, but I've never finished one before.
The ones that were, again, created by Crystal Dynamics, that were the first time they really tried to recreate that series. They were okay. But yeah, the original PlayStation games, I mean, they introduced a lot more gameplay than most other games of the type had in that era, but I mean, they controlled really badly. There were a lot of not fun.
I didn't like 3D games on the PlayStation 1, so Tomb Raider was just like impossible for me to play. I was really spoiled by like Mario 64, so I didn't play those games. And then by the time the series moved to the other systems, it was like not as good as it used to be. So I just never really played. So I did go back and play Tomb Raider HD collection type thing on the PC, and it was okay. I only played it like an hour, but I could see the appeal, and it looked good, and it played and it controlled much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't play 3D games on the PlayStation.
Also, it's really tough going back to those games now because, I mean, you go back to playing like a Saturn game or any 2D sprite-based game at the time, and those games still look amazing, but early 3D games look terrible.
There's some N64 holds up. Some Mario 64 still holds up.
Well,
I'll tell you that much.
I'm of the opinion. I never liked the way the N64 rendered stuff.
Oh, it rendered so well. It had anti-aliasing and Z-buffering and MIP mapping.
But the anti-aliasing made like rainbow halos around everything. That bitch.
Yeah, it was a little mushy, but
yeah,
I was fine with it.
That was only my second biggest problem with that system. The first being the controller.
Oh man, I was such an N64 fan.
Yeah,
I loved that system.
The time. Where's it at?
Crash Bandicoot and Ocarina of Time? Why are those two games in the same sentence? Z-Protest Heroes. Crash Bandicoot is a junk factory, and Ocarina of Time is a classic. I don't like Crash Bandicoot. I only played the second one, but I was totally bummed out.
Those rats have little bombs on them. What kind of monster would put bombs on little rats?
Oh, so Crash is still good looking. I don't know. I haven't played it. I haven't played it recently. I don't know how it holds up visually.
Well, considering that Crash Bandicoot was essentially just a walking polygon, a brown polygon.
I mean, it's like being raised on Mario and then having to play a platformer that doesn't control perfectly. I can't do it. Every platformer has to control perfectly, or I get frustrated. I know.
I suppose
high standards.
Supposed to do something here other than
dude, why is there that hitch? What is that?
I think it's just a dramatic pause.
Oh, Naughty Dog. Yeah, Naughty Dog. It's funny because I didn't like Naughty Dog until this generation because I didn't like Jack that much and I didn't like Crash.
Yeah, and you were just trying to make the statement that Naughty Dog cannot do gameplay. Or that it's just not the thing that they're the best at.
They're not great at controls.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
There's more to gameplay than just controls. Because they're really good at Uncharted with the scenarios they constructed.
Yeah.
But
I always thought Uncharted controlled just fine.
It controls fine. But I guess like comparing it to Insomniac, and they were compared for years because they were... Insomniac games are just a joy to control. Like, moving in Ratchet is just like... It's perfect. It just feels right. Whereas moving in Jack is like utilitarian.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's really tough to explain. But it's just, you know... It's one of the reasons I love Nintendo games, is Nintendo frequently understands the joy of movement, I guess. So, I don't know. Naughty Dog's an interesting company for me. They have some strengths that are ridiculous. Oh god, you just got shot. Oh god.
I've been outflanked by this shotgun man.
God. How does it feel to be like, oh my lord!
Did I just punch him in the junk?
Well, left-handed punch to the junk.
Or maybe I knifed him in the junk. Looked like I punched him though.
I think Galford is asking about Nintendo 64 anti-aliasing. I learned the term anti-aliasing with an EGM feature that talked about all the technical stuff in N64, so it explained what Z-buffering was and stuff. So, I mean, that's what I'm not a technical guy, so I could be wrong, but that's how I know that term in the first place.
Is there a question in there?
Yeah, he doesn't think that N64 had anti-aliasing. The PlayStation didn't.
No, the PlayStation absolutely did not. I mean, I don't know if what you could consider what the N64 did to be legit anti-aliasing, which if I think most people know what anti-aliasing is, but just in case they don't, anti-aliasing is so you have a certain number of polygons on the screen. Let's go back to let's consider an era. This is going to go nowhere. And, you know, so when you have a polygon that needs to ultimately be turned from a three-dimensional shape into pixels, that's what they call rendering, you know, when it's on a diagonal, how you represent that diagonal line in pixels to make it look smooth and not have jaggies involves, you know, using, you know, say you have a black polygon on a white background. If you don't do any anti-aliasing, you'll see sort of a jagged or stair-step effect as it tries to express this diagonal line in square pixels. And anti-aliasing creates, you know, sort of gray pixels to basically represent a more graduated line. Oh, this guy's gonna stab me, but
nope, no, he's not.
You got stabbed.
Violence.
Take that. Yeah, this game is pretty violent.
Yeah, it is.
And vulgar. There's a lot of cursing in this game.
So do you think the N64 had anti-aliasing?
It did some manner of just kind of like smearing colors around to smooth out aliasing, or what people like to refer to as jaggies, which is also where the phrase "the Jaggy Station" came from. Because the
I never heard of that.
You never heard of the Jaggy Station?
The PlayStation had a lot of... Because it didn't have... I mean, this is just like System Wars from a million years ago. It didn't have perspective correcting, so the 3D made me want to throw up. I don't know. The PlayStation was weird, technically, for me, but it had good 2D games.
Yeah.
And the RPGs were good. Yeah, it's funny, I just said that Gear Maximus says N64 graphics made him want to throw up. That's almost like the Lost Generation, because the graphics were so not great.
Yeah. And
the controls were tough too, because they were moving into 3D.
How much it has affected my perception of, you know, because I'm not. I mean, Nintendo can make stuff that is wonderful. I mean, this guy just keeps throwing arms at people.
Piece of the puzzle.
I guess these are my assassination targets. But I just completely lost my train of thought. No, I have a lot of respect for when Nintendo gets stuff right, but I've never been a huge fan of theirs. The last other than the GameCube, the last NES system, the GameCube and the Wii, I own both of those. But before that, the last Nintendo system I owned was the NES.
You missed the Super Nintendo?
I did. Well, I didn't. I mean, I played a number of games from there, but I owned a Genesis.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. You know, I always tell Caro that the reason I have better taste than her in games is that I had a Super Nintendo. She had a Genesis.
See, I can't...
And there is some truth to that because the Genesis was a junk factory.
No, it wasn't.
It was. I had a Genesis first, and then I traded it in when I saw that Mario World was the greatest thing ever.
You just don't like Sonic games.
Well, no, I don't like Sonic games. I did like Toe Jam and Earl, and I did like Mickey's Castle of Illusion, and there's a few other Genesis games, but there's just like a rudimentary feel to them that I didn't like. And the Super Nintendo was so great, and it had such great games. I don't know.
See,
Man, this explains so much about you.
I know.
My bias, my stereotyping of people with Genesis
is growing.
No, it's now just fact at this point. Man, Genesis. I was sad when I traded it in. I didn't have Toe Jam and Earl anymore. But other than that, I was like, whatever. But I love Toe Jam and Earl.
And then you got a system with an inferior sound chip.
The Super Nintendo?
Yeah.
This is not true. Either that or all the composers for the Super Nintendo were better.
Well, no, I'm not necessarily saying that the music was better.
It sounded so tinny on the Genesis.
It just that sound chip has such a unique sound to it.
It does have a unique sound.
Nothing else sounds like it. Doesn't sound like an 8-track.
It doesn't sound great. I mean, listen to Sonic the Hedgehog and listen to Mario World, and it's like...
Listen to music from Revenge of Shinobi.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I do.
I don't even know what that game is.
You really should.
What about listening to Donkey Kong Country's music, which sounded fantastic? I don't know. The Genesis is always weird to me. I didn't really... It was better with sports, I guess?
I never played any sports games on it.
Super Nintendo.
I mean, obviously there are games that I really craved that were on the Super Nintendo that I had to go to like friends' houses to play. Stuff like what are you doing, dude? It's one thing I always confuse. Oh, that's where the grenade is going. Because you have to do the lock-on thing to do the bullet curve thing. But sometimes you think you're going to lock onto somebody, and the game just kind of says, you know, you're going to lock onto this crate.
Yay.
I wish that guy would stop shooting me. Especially now that I'm dead.
Oh,
ragdolled in a horrible way.
That was painful.
Speaking of how vulgar this game can be, I'm not actually going to try it with another difficulty, but there's that.
Oh, that's delightful.
That's a bit rude. But anyways, yeah, and I, again, completely lost my train of thought. Genesis had wonderful games.
Yeah.
But I was talking about good games that the SNES had that I had to keep up with. I mean, obviously, Mario Kart.
Mario Kart's great.
Super Castlevania 4. I mean, my hands down my favorite SNES game, and my favorite game in the franchise was Super Metroid.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you not play Metroid Prime?
I have played Metroid Prime.
Metroid Prime is so good.
It is a very close second in that comparison.
You know why I don't like Super Metroid?
Why don't you like Super Metroid?
Samus's character model is dumb.
What?
I know, it's a really weird thing, but I can't get over how weird that game looks. I like every other Metroid I've played, too, including Other M, but I can't get into Super Metroid.
What don't you like about the character model?
She's got, like, really weird shoulders. I don't know.
I think that was when they're still, like, they still cared about, like, it being a secret that she was a female character.
Third Metroid game.
But still, like, well, I guess it wasn't that much of a secret, but because every time you died, like, your armor would explode off of you, and you would, like, just before the screen would wash to white, because I guess her suit is, like, powered by a thermonuclear bomb. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But I think I got hit with a curved bullet.
Someday I'll try. I also didn't like the way the wall, because I always got to the part where there's an ostrich and you have to wall jump.
Those parts are super tough.
The wall jump controls are just so bad. I don't know. It's little things about that, but I just would play any other Metroid over that.
Yeah.
Even Corruption, which is my second least favorite. 'Cause I generally love Metroid.
Yeah.
Prime is like a masterpiece. Yeah, Link to the Past is, I mean, I don't know. My favorite is Legend of Zelda, but Link to the Past might be the best. It's debatable, but those are the two best Zelda games. So, yeah, Super Nintendo. I can't believe that was like a launch game. Link to the Past and Mario Worlds.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And this will also sound crazy to like a lot of Zelda fans out there, but I'm also not a big fan of Link to the Past.
You don't like Link to the Past? I'm like shocked about this. This is shocking. What Zelda game do you like?
The first two.
Okay, well the first two are excellent.
Yeah.
Then the Link to the Past is the one that like everyone except for Majora's Mask has ripped off since Link to the Past.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just something about, you know, maybe it's just because the game felt like it was directing me a lot more. I mean, I played but never finished Wind Waker.
Yeah, I never finished it because of Triforce Hunt.
Yeah, I got up to that point. Ooh, I got a new team quote.
That is a weird...
That's a weird thing to... That's a weird unlockable.
Man. Did you play Ocarina?
No.
Did you play Majora's Mask?
No.
Did you play Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword?
That was definitely in the realm of like when all Zelda games started playing the same, so...
Well, they've been the same since... Well, they've had the same formula since Link to the Past. I guess, like, Phantom Hourglass plays different from Ocarina because it's 2D versus 3D.
Yeah.
I'm, like, shocked that you haven't played Ocarina. Ocarina of Time is just... Like, it's really... It's the third best Zelda, but it's just, like, one of the best games ever.
When they released... I'm just shooting more and more bullets in my curved bullet swarm.
I love curved bullets.
So when I did the pre-order for Wind Waker, and it came with an additional disc that was like the GameCube remastering.
Yeah, I had that.
But yeah, I couldn't get my head around the fairly dated gameplay at that point.
It's not dated gameplay. What are you talking about?
That game looked and felt real old to me, and I had a really tough time getting my teeth into it.
The gameplay or the visuals?
Both.
The gameplay's not old. Everybody's ripped off Zelda since then with that Z lock-on thing. Man, I'm like shocked about this. It's shocking. It's Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't played a lot of classics. I've only played Metal Gear Solid 4, so I haven't played the ones before that, and I don't know. I'm sure that I haven't played StarCraft.
I'll be curious to see what you think of going back to the old Metal Gears, because those games also have
I'm trying to. The problem is because I have Metal Gear on the Vita.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid, but I can't play it on the train because the sun doesn't work wonders with that kind of visual design.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go back. I want to play through the first 3 games because that's like a blind spot for me.
I imagine the first game will be pretty rough to go back to.
Carolyn says it's her favorite one still, so I'm curious to go back and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's everyone has blind spots. Yeah, today we were talking about StarCraft, Star Wars, and Star Trek. I was talking with Max and Van about it.
That's a lot of Star games.
I've never played a StarCraft game, nor do I plan on it, and I've never seen a Star Trek TV show or movie.
What?
I've only seen the Red Letter Media reviews of 4 Star Trek movies. That's all I know about those.
Which Star Trek movies?
I don't know. It's like First Contact and Generations. I don't know. Infiltration or something with an I.
I would love to see his review of First Contact.
His reviews are great because he's Red Letter Media.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, not everybody can play everything. But
no, you can't. And nor
have you played StarCraft?
Actually, no. I've not. I mean, not in a tremendously meaningful way. Like, I played a little bit of. I want to say I played a little bit of StarCraft 2, like in a preview setting where I got to play through a couple missions, and I had an okay time with it. I'm not a huge fan of the RTS genre.
I like Peakman. Peakman's a good RTS. But yeah, I played the heck out of Dune 2, but I'm not really an RTS guy. But I mean, I'll probably see Star Trek at some point. My wife loves Star Trek, so maybe I'll see the new movie or something.
I enjoyed the first J.J. Abrams film pretty well. I mean, I was never in love with the original series, owing greatly to the fact that just when just dated visuals and when I was growing up, and there's Next Generation, which had a lot of a lot more money poured into it, had a great cast. Visually it looked a lot better, and the original series was just a little bit before my time, and oh good, it's another
tour it, but you got to do this one in a minute and 50 seconds.
I just got to kill a lot of people in a short amount of time. I don't know. Dated visuals has been a stumbling block for me for a number of things to appreciate over the years. I mean, I was a huge fan of the original Half-Life when it came out, and a friend of mine was like, no, you really need to try this game, System Shock 2, and I tried it years later, and that game looks real raw.
Oh, I don't have a problem with, I mean, I played Deus Ex for the first time, last year? I'm fine going back to older games. I've never actually finished Half-Life, which is weird, because Half-Life 2 is one of my favorite games ever. But every time I want to play Half-Life, I just end up playing Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna answer this question from I wish I knew your name better. Z Protest the Heroes. What do you think about esports? He doesn't like how StarCraft 2 is being turned into a sport.
What do I think about esports? I mean, it's fine. I don't have a tremendous interest in it. Owing largely to the fact that, well, a lot of the games that become esports are not genres that I'm tremendously interested in. I have dipped my toe into the, I've played around with Dota 2 a little bit. I haven't played any League of Legends yet, just because that's such an emerging game market, particularly in the esports arena. I know I know a little bit more about it now. I know I'm bad at it. Well, at least I'm really bad at Dota. I think that's because I don't play a lot of RTSs. I've never been a huge fan of them. And so getting my head around indirect control, my biggest complaint with Dota is like, why can't I control my characters directly? Why do I have to click where I want, especially because so much of the gameplay there is about like timing and distance and
you got 5 seconds to win,
or 5 seconds to survive.
Oh, is that
what's going to
what it
happen?
is?
I think I just needed to hold out. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Although that's getting away from my thoughts on esports in general. Like I was saying, a lot of esports tend to be in genres I'm not huge fans of.
Well, that's not.
So
okay, I don't care about esports because I'd rather play a game.
Yeah.
Like I know it's weird. Like I do love real sports. I love NFL and I love NBA, and I can't do anything close to that. But like when I see an esport, like I'm not a great fighting guy, but when I watch fighting guys, I'm like, I can kind of do close to this. Like I can't do anything like Colin Kaepernick in real football. So I guess that's why it doesn't click for me. Is I can't imagine a time where I would want to watch someone play as opposed to play myself.
Right. Well, I mean,
that's the difference for me.
Like
I know Benito came in and he's not happy that I said that.
Yeah. I mean,
he likes esports, but it's just I don't really get it.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy riding motorcycles, and that has a big lot to do with why I enjoy watching motorcycle racing, because that's appreciating what people can do, that their abilities are far beyond my own, and maybe I'm not necessarily, I can't quite learn from it in the same way that esports fans can learn how to improve their game. But I think that's one of my biggest stumbling blocks for appreciating esports on its own. Is that a lot of esports just aren't genres I enjoy playing. I feel like I should be not in this gondola any further.
That switch house gave us fucking...
Probably not. Gondolas aren't safe. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching people play games when it's like, Max and Giancarlo play a fighting game that isn't Injustice, because Injustice is boring. But when they play a fighting game, it's fun to watch them. But, watching strangers play a video game just seems... It's not something I want to do, I guess. But, I mean, there's other people who think of this about, physical sports. Like, why would you want to watch NBA when you can just play it? So, I mean, I understand that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a game that is starting... I think it's fair to say it's sort of becoming the game that I won't shut up about, Kerbal Space Program. I mean, I've been starting to watch some of the people's YouTube videos on that, just because, seeing their rocket designs that I never would have come up with, seeing how they solve various problems in that game.
So just a reminder that you guys are watching Wanted Weapons of Fate. This is Tyler's B-list show, and this is his B-list of the week then. So this is GameSpot. You're watching us on Twitch. You can follow us on Twitch, at Twitter, on Twitter or at GameSpot.
You can't watch us on Twitter.
What am I on Twitter? I'm at Tom McShay. You're probably at Tyler.
No, I wish I could get at Tyler.
What?
That is...
What are you?
I'm _real_ Tyler W.
Just in case, really?
It's a bit of a mouthful.
That is a mouthful.
I came to Twitter pretty late, because I originally thought Twitter was pretty dumb.
What was that? Oh, there's Tyler's.
Yeah, there's mine.
There it is. That's pretty cool. Mine's just my name.
Yeah. And, well, I figured, okay, if I'm going to do this Twitter thing, I will model at least my name after one of my favorite ridiculous Twitter personalities, which was Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, no. I don't even...
Whose Twitter handle was The Real Shaq.
I do not enjoy Shaquille O'Neal.
He's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
He's real dumb.
He is one of the worst studio hosts. So now I went from bashing my own website who covers esports, now bashing Turner Broadcasting, who has employed Shaquille O'Neal for God knows what reason.
All right, where am I supposed to go?
Yeah, you follow him on Twitter. Twitter is still kind of dumb. Well, yeah, but, whatever.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty dumb, but it's good at being dumb in its own particular way.
I mean, Ricky Guitar says it's interesting to watch someone play a game that you also play, but just see how much better they are.
Yeah, or how much worse, or how different they play.
Yeah, it's weird that I could see the different thing, but even I don't watch videos of Dark Souls or Meat Boy. I don't even watch videos of just anyone doing stuff. I'd rather be actively doing it.
Right.
Unless it's something crazy, I watched the 20-minute beating Dark Souls run, which was crazy. But I mean, usually it's just I want to play that game. I don't know. Sorry for being anti-GameSpot with that.
But if you're otherwise engaged in something that, like if you're eating dinner, you can't play games and eat dinner at the same time.
I usually have a conversation with my wife about my day and her day at dinner.
You're in a different situation. I mean, I do that too, but,
Yeah, but I also used to watch TV, and I guess you could watch esports just as easily, so
yeah.
that's true. Well, call me Joe. Wanted's not a rail shooter, but it is a corridor shooter.
Yeah.
It's just a really cool one, because you can curve bullets and slide, and those are the two things that make it cool. Uh-oh, GameSpot fired me. Who's that? Is that Dan or is that Cynthia?
GameSpot account?
Yeah.
That is probably Dan.
It's probably Dan. Yeah, I mean, I like most things on GameSpot. I can imagine in 6 months, because I used to hate Kindle, for instance.
Yeah.
And now I love it more than, it's one of my favorite possessions. I can imagine in 6 months I'll be like, so I started getting into esports and it's great.
Yeah.
That wouldn't actually surprise me as someone who loves competitive stuff.
Wacky personalities.
It just kind of needs one thing to get me to click, for it to click with me, I guess. But right now I just would rather play a game than watch it.
So it sounds like you're in a bit of the same position as me, Like, I don't know. Are you a big RTS guy?
No, I don't play RTSs, MOBAs, or fighting games regularly. So
Yeah,
I'm not
so-
a multiplayer guy. I like single player.
Are there any? So, if you could make an esport out of any game genre you love,
I'd like to see Lemmings as an esport. Because that is an awesome esport. Maybe they would structure it in such a way that you couldn't see, so it wouldn't be split screen.
yeah.
But that could actually be pretty interesting.
What would be the?
It's grief-tacular. Mario Kart is an esport. See, the thing is, it would be if it was Super Mario Kart, maybe. The other Mario Kart's a little too based on luck for my taste. Call Me Joe is asking me if I know the game Lemmings. I just talked about Lemmings. Like, I literally just talked about it.
I'm still trying to figure out how that would. Well, how did the co-op or the competitive nature work in that game?
In what?
In Lemmings.
Well, you both have drop points where Lemmings come out of, and you both have your separate base you have to get to.
Are you on the same map,
Yes.
or are you split screen?
Same map.
Oh, so you have to see how many Lemmings you can get.
So you try to get more Lemmings, and it's great because like the screen is, I'm going to say 100 yards, but you only see like 5 yards on your screen at a given
Right.
time. So you hear Lemmings dying, and you think it's because you dug a hole under your enemy's base, but your Lemmings are really dying. You don't realize it. It's fantastic. It's like my favorite griefing game. Worms as an esport would also be interesting. I guess it would be these games that are kind of have a grief element and like a quirky personality element.
Yeah.
Because I don't see as much personality in an RTS. It feels more utilitarian to me. Where you can kind of play right versus play wrong versus like Lemmings, you can kind of just play how you play and you actually might succeed anyway. I can see that.
I failed in one of the great lessons of video games, which is that if you see a blinky red thing on the floor, don't step on it. It's probably a mine.
Spy vs. Spy remake. Who was this? I think Max McGee and we did an episode of it came from Xbox Live, which is every other week he does Xbox Live indie game.
Yeah.
We were playing this really cool, it might have been a Bomb Ran type game, I'm not sure which one it was. But we were like, why isn't there an indie esports scene? Because there's like super quirky indie games, like Bari Bari Ball.
Yeah.
That would actually be kind of fun to watch in an esports setting, but it's like so dominated by the heavy hitters that it's like...
Do you want a serious answer to that question?
Oh, Benito's got a serious answer to that question.
Benito or...
That question is how many people are playing the game. That's why StarCraft is so big.
Okay.
There are that many players, right?
So
it's really about player pool and community.
So he's talking about the reason why Bari Bari Bowl isn't an esport is because there's not enough people playing it, and if you're not playing it, you're not going to be as interested.
Yeah,
That's what we were talking about anyway.
if-
We don't play
Or
it.
ultimately, if there's not that many people playing it, there just isn't the talent pool isn't as rich.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I guess it's like I would be more drawn to quirky stuff
Yeah.
because I like quirky multiplayer more than like
Esports Johann Sebastian Joust.
Well, that actually is probably going to happen, isn't it? That's got to happen. It'd be too good not to happen. But like the Behemoth's new game, this Battle Block Theater has crazy multiplayer. Like that kind of stuff is.
There's also stuff like Spy Party.
Spy Party, is that going to be an esport, Benito?
Oh, man.
See, that would be an interesting esport too. That is so psychological. There's also the indie game that's basically Spy Party. That I can't remember what it's called, but it's on Xbox Live Indie.
Okay.
What was it?
Ninja something, right?
Ninja something? I'm not sure. I'd have to check with Max. Yeah, I guess if they expanded a little beyond like the genres that are esoteric to me, like these, because it is just mostly RTSs and MOBAs and fighting right now. FPS, yeah, FPS. Yeah, so I guess I'm negative more just like you because I don't actually play these games.
Yeah. Well, I do play RTSs.
You don't play RTSs. You play FPSs.
Oh, that's what I mean, FPSs.
Yeah, but you don't. Do you play? Because I don't play multiplayer FPSs anymore. The last one I got into was Halo 3.
I haven't played any. I played a shameful amount of Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer. I sunk many. I mean, not as many as some. I think I prestiged once, and that was like the okay. I played through a couple of levels, starting over, and I said, you know what? I think it's time that you and I are through Modern Warfare 2.
The only time I've ever played Call of Duty multiplayer is, I don't remember which one it was, but it took place in a 50s fallout shelter, or like a fake, like a 50s model home where they were going to bomb it. So maybe in Black Ops 1.
That was the original Black Ops.
I played that level with Chris because he needed multiplayer help on like the Wii or something. That's the only time I played multiplayer Call of Duty. No, it's not really my thing. I actually did play Bad Company 2 multiplayer, but I didn't like it. It's Nuketown. That's totally Nuketown. Ricky Guitarist knew it. Yeah, so maybe if they expanded a little bit, but it's tough to expand it because, as Bino said, they have to have a community to play these games, and the only games that people play are MOBAs, FPSs, fighting games, and RTSs.
Yeah.
Darn it, we're stuck. Johann Sebastian Joust, save us.
What other indie game would make a good e-sport?
I don't know. Well, it doesn't have to be indie game, just smaller games would be fine. I loved Pikmin 2 multiplayer, which was very griefy, and I loved Comic Crash multiplayer, which is very griefy. Like that kind of stuff would be fun. So Call Me Joe asks Tyler, are you planning on playing any 90s game on your B list?
Any 90s game? I really haven't been. I guess one of my thoughts for this show is largely games I've played since becoming a journalist, which is when I started thinking about games a lot more critically. And the 90s was long before that, so honestly I haven't really considered it. Does he have one in mind?
If you have one in mind, Call Me Joe. Say, Dan says that I like grief in games. I like... Sean will grief any game ever.
Yeah.
I like grief in multiplayer because it's fun to grief people in multiplayer. But single player I don't grief as much. But man, there's nothing like multiplayer griefing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be very curious to hear about any thoughts on
90s. Resident Evil's a 90s game. Banjo-Kazooie? That's not a B-list? How dare you?
I'm not going to play Resident Evil.
So we're going to wrap this up in 10 minutes. Remember to subscribe to this because we do a lot of streams.
Yeah.
I want to do a stream.
I'm
hoping to do some streams this week. I really want to do some of that Don't Starve stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you would have saw us, I mean, we do all types of genres and stuff on these.
Yeah. Like, well, Aaron and usually Aaron and
Chris.
Well, Chris stood in last week. Ryan Schubert.
Oh yeah, for FPS Fridays.
Yeah, they do a different FPS every week. My show's a lot more freeform in game genre, but looking at a specific type of game. And we do streams for retro stuff. Danny O'Dwyer has his random encounter where I think he just plays whatever. Trying to keep it somewhat topically related.
Yeah.
Oh, this man's gonna try and stab me, but
Nope.
I'm gonna stab him because I can button mash.
You should maybe consider doing Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
That is a game I've always been curious about and never played.
I wish someone else would rip off that idea because it's such an awesome idea.
Speaking
of developers,
the idea is entirely
Lego.
Like you build your own thing and go and do stuff with it, right?
Yeah, you build your own vehicle and that's how you... This is just like because someone mentioned that Halo Wars. Who was this? This was Z Protest the Hero said that Halo Wars killed his favorite developer because he liked Ensemble. Microsoft also killed Rare, so this is just like the who did Microsoft kill segment.
How much control did you have once you built your vehicle? Like, how much freedom to build whatever did you have?
You could build whatever you wanted.
And once you built it, what could you do with it?
Well, you unlocked parts as you went, and this was Brendan Sinclair, former GameSpot news editor. This was his big problem with the game is you didn't get everything in the beginning.
Yeah.
So you slowly get the ability to fly and a punching bag and an ejector seat, and it's kind of the amount of stuff you do. It's almost like you're not even going to be able to figure out how to use it all because it gets really complicated. But rocket tanks and stuff.
I'm not necessarily advocating it so much because I didn't enjoy it a lot, but there's an Angry Birds spin-off game that's a bit like that.
Yes, Bad Piggies was a 2D touchscreen version of Banjo-Kazooie. It wasn't good, but it was the same thing.
Yeah. And again, the game I simply will not shut up about. Kerbal Space Program is a bit like that. You know, the joy in that game is like building your own spacecraft and then going to the moon with it.
I argued in 2008 that Banjo should get our reward for best user-created content over Little Big Planet. And I stand by that because you could because the difference between the two is one of them is a separate mode, and then Banjo, its core to the very existence of the game is building. Like, I beat Little Big Planet, I didn't build any levels, but Banjo, you got to do it. So like, yeah. I think it's easy, and like Minecraft, that's core to the game. That's a lot more interesting to me than like, and here's a separate mode where you can make a level. So yeah, Banjo is phenomenal with its user creation stuff.
I don't know if it's really fair to say it was a separate mode.
It was. You don't have to do that. It's a separate thing. There's the campaign, and you can't create it all in the campaign. It's completely scripted. Yeah. And then there's a separate mode where you create stuff. Whereas Banjo, you have to create to complete these missions. You have to. So it's complete. It's separate. It's a separate thing. I'm not a big fan of Little Big Planet either. It controls like butt.
Yeah, controls in the game are pretty raw.
But I wish more games would have creation as an actual gameplay component.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, no, you can make your own maps. But I want like my own, like I want that integrated.
Yeah.
So props to Rare. That was the last game they made, and it was great. And then Microsoft killed them.
Poor Rare.
Yeah, Sunbeam 4 asked about I Am Alive. That is one that is on Tyler's lists for the shows.
Maybe that'll be next week.
I like that game. This is one of my favorite games from last year.
Twitch when I pull them off.
I am having a tough... I keep having bad timing with it because when she drops down and I can shoot her... It takes so long for me to pop out that when I'm doing it in the slow motion... Oh, there, now we go. Take that, Angelina Jolie.
Oh no, her name is Arcania? Aranya.
I think she's Russian.
Maybe.
Okay. You give up now.
Is that racist?
I will pretend to
It's not racist. Russia is not a race. Little known fact. Nobody isn't mad at me because I don't like esports. I feel bad now. Yeah, I know. I know. Well, I don't think esports are bad. I just don't really. It doesn't click with me. But man, Johann Sebastian Joust. Or if they did Dark Sector, because that's the Glaive Dragons.
Yeah. Glaive Dragons MLG team.
Aranya is Spanish for spider?
Ah.
That's terrifying.
I guess that makes sense why she does all this dangling down here and...
Man, when we got a 10-minute warning, I didn't look at my watch, so I don't know how much time we have left. I just knew we have like 5 minutes.
Okay. Dan will yell at us to stop.
Yeah.
And he would yell.
What about if you do Wheelman?
I did Driver San Francisco.
Those are very different. I don't really know Driver as well as Wheelman. I beat Wheelman for some reason.
Oh, I think I killed her to death.
Oh man. I don't think.
Got my creepy gas mask.
I'm sorry, but this is mine.
Oh no.
I gotta tell you, I wouldn't have minded making her scream another way, but what the heck. At least her ankles were skyward.
This game is so crass.
Yeah, it's pretty crass.
Now I knew where they planned.
Definitely showing.
Of the Paris fraternity.
Because you were on the podcast with the producer of this game.
Oh yeah, we did a GameSpot hotspot.
Pete Wannett.
Yeah.
Which he was the guy who also produced Riddick, Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay.
That was good.
The game with the most instructional subtitle ever. Because that's what the game is called, and that is what you do.
You do a lot of that.
That's all you do in that game is escape from Butcher Bay. Also, get in prison fights.
Yes, with shivs.
Okay, I take it back. This game is pretty... Well, I never said this game wasn't fun, but...
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
I've been having a really good time playing
Like,
this game.
it totally deserves to be on the show. Like, it's not like it's above that.
This game isn't anything super special, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Once you get in the groove of the combat. And
It's why I wrote, like, the defense of the 6.0, because this is like, yeah, it's got issues. But it's totally fun and totally worth playing.
yeah, and if there's any other game other than the original Resident Evil from the 90s that you think should be on this show, let me know. 'Cause I have a pretty diabolical hatred for all things Resident Evil, and I will not
Really?
apologize for that.
Okay.
I've
What
never-
about if you play Alone in the Dark or Silent Hill?
I will... I don't know. Are Silent Hill games B-list material? I love those games.
007 Day After Tomorrow. I don't remember that game.
I will have to research that one. I'm not familiar with it at all.
There was the one that wasn't... There's a Bond game on, like, the PlayStation 2 that was not based on a movie that was really good.
Yeah, oh, what was that? Is it Everything or Nothing?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
That was really good. I enjoyed that.
It's one of those games that, like, took a bunch of genres and put them together pretty well.
Dark Travesty says Nightfall, which also sounds familiar. Which
Nightfall
one?
or Nightfire?
He says Nightfall. I don't know. There was one. I do think it was Everything or Nothing, though, but I really enjoyed that. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
This game's violent.
Yeah, just moving through the environment in this game is a lot of fun. even when there's
That might be
mines.
Night Fighters.
That might be a
right.
good
That's a good
time
place to stop.
Don't step on mines. That's my advice to you.
There you go.
From this edition of the B List. Again, thank you, Tom, very much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. Also, thank you to our users, because our users make this whole thing enjoyable.
Absolutely. So thank you very much for watching. Once again, if you would like to see more of this show or others, you can subscribe to us on Twitch, or also subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah, and thanks to Dan, because he is excellent at producing, and Benito for defending esports after I besmirched them.
And so you can follow GameSpot at GameSpot on Twitter.
Yep.
You are at Tom McShay.
And you're the real Tyler.
The real Tyler
W.
Yes. There are other Tyler W's, and I believe there's other Tyler W's in this industry, but...
Yes. Okay.
But not the real one.
I'm looking at all this.
Anyhow, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next week.